Alex and Mrs. Rose were immersed in a passionate moment on the lawn. A slight noise from the house startled both of them. "You and your child, quickly put on your pants. If he sees you, you'll die." Alex hurriedly, his heart pounding, hugged his pants and clumsily crawled under the wooden bench in the garden. The tall, sprawled figure looked both funny and pitiful. Mrs. Rose's clothes were disheveled. She quickly fixed her shirt, walked to the door, trying to stay calm. "And, my child, ... She called, her voice trembling, but there was no response, only the shadow of a cat darting across the yard. Mrs. Rose breathed a sigh of relief, turned back to look at Alex, who was still awkwardly crawling out from under the chair, sweating profusely, his clothes disheveled. She couldn't help but laugh out loud. "Oh my God, did a cat scare you that much?" Alex cursed softly. "Damn, you scared the hell out of me." He stood up, his face flushed with embarrassment, but Rose's eyes sparkled, both teasing and pushing desire, making Alex quickly regain his composure. Not letting the moment cool down, Alex grabbed her hand, pulling her hard towards the small bathroom behind the kitchen. "No more cats this time," he whispered, his voice low and seductive, slamming the bathroom door shut. The narrow, humid space of the bathroom seemed to increase the stimulation. Rose wrapped her arms around Alex's neck, her body pressed close, her voice coy but full of desire. "Hurry up, Alex. I can't take it anymore." Alex hugged her tightly, lips finding lips in a fierce, passionate kiss as if wanting to swallow each other. His hand slid across her body, pulling off her thin nightgown to reveal her smooth white skin and seductive curves. Rose moaned softly, her head tilted back so Alex could kiss down her neck, down her shoulders, each touch of lips like a spark that ignited all her senses. Under the dim light of the bathroom light, Rose's body glistened in the steam, beautiful as a living statue. Alex pushed her against the cool brick wall, lifting one of her legs up, forcing her to cling tightly to his shoulder to keep her balance. Alex was stronger. Mrs. Rose was Lisa, her voice lost in pleasure. Alex could not restrain himself from letting his instincts guide each strong and bold movement, causing Mrs. Rose's moans to echo continuously, mixed with the sound of dripping water from the forgotten shower. The cramped space made everything even more intense, as if the whole world was left with only two people immersed in an irresistible wave of awakening. Mrs. Rose, with the desire of a woman in her prime, responded to Alex with experienced caresses and squeezes that made him fascinated. They entwined, their bodies intertwined, there was no longer any distance, each touch, each breath pushed them into a vortex of pleasure, where reason was completely submerged. When they reached their destination, Mrs. Rose hugged Alex tightly, her nails digging into his back, her breathing rapid as if she wanted to blend with him. When everything ended, they stood there leaning against each other, the steam clinging to their skin, their breathing still not returning to normal. Mrs. Rose looked at Alex, her eyes both satisfied and worried. "Alex, we can't go on like this forever." Alex kissed her forehead lightly, his voice low. "I know, Mom, but right now I just want you." They quietly fixed their clothes, left the bathroom, their hearts heavy but still unable to shake off the temptation. The small house now contained too many secrets, and Alex's every step seemed to lead him deeper into a maze with no way out. Will Mrs. Rose and Alex stop, or will their desires often make them confused? Please join us in the story of mother-in-law and son-in-law. Alex's wife had just given birth 2 days ago. The whole family was filled with joy because this was their first grandchild. Alex's mother-in-law's grandmother was busy taking care of her 2 young wives, Rose. The house had 2 adjacent bedrooms. The mother-in-law slept with her daughter and grandchild. Alex slept in the next room. Alex's mother-in-law, Rose, was over 50 years old but still made the whole village admire her beauty. Her skin was as white as snow, her body was well proportioned, and she was as attractive as a girl in her 20s. Everyone said that Rose was beautiful in everything, except for one thing: she often hung out with Mr. Bay in the village. Mr. Bay was a good-for-nothing, always drunk, his mouth smelled of alcohol, and he behaved rudely. The day Alex's wife gave birth, Mr. Bay visited several times, but Alex's wife was visibly annoyed by the smell of alcohol and his noisy attitude. The whole village felt sorry for Mrs. Rose. It was not clear why someone like her would get involved with Mr. Bay. Mr. Bay came to the house every day, without any manners. One day, when there was a baby in the house, he still talked loudly and smoked loudly, making Alex's wife angry. Mrs. Rose realized this but did not know how to handle it. After dinner, when Alex's wife put the children to bed, Alex texted his mother-in-law, "Mom, I need you to go out and do something." Mrs. Rose walked out and sat down next to Alex. "What's the matter?" she asked, her voice gentle. Alex hesitated. "Yes, I have something that's a bit embarrassing, but I have to talk to Mr. Bay. I think he's so rude." Mrs. Rose sighed unsurprised. "I know. Is it about Mr. Bay?" "I'll talk to him from tomorrow, don't worry." Alex nodded but was still worried. "Yes, I'm embarrassed to say it, but my wife will be here for a few months and then leave. I hope you understand my wife and Rose." The house had 2 adjoining bedrooms. Grandma Rose slept with her daughter and grandchild. Alex slept in the next room. Alex's grandmother Rose, though in her 50s, still made the whole town talk about her beauty. Her skin was as white as snow, her figure was well proportioned, and she was as attractive as a woman in her 20s. Everyone said that Grandma Rose was beautiful in every way, except for one thing: she often hung out with Mr. Joe in town. Joe was a bad boy, drunk all the time, smelling of beer on his mouth, and being rude. When Alex's wife gave birth, Joe came to visit a few times, but Sarah, Alex's wife, was visibly upset by his smell of alcohol and his loud behavior. The whole town felt sorry for Rose. No one understood why someone like her would bother with Joe. Joe came to the house every day, without any restraint. One day, when Sarah was home with a baby, he kept talking loudly and smoking a cigarette, which annoyed her. Rose noticed but didn't know what to do. After dinner, when Sarah was putting the baby to bed, Alex texted his mother-in-law, "Mom, I need you to go out." Rose walked out and sat down next to Alex on the porch. "What's wrong?" she asked softly. Alex hesitated. "Well, it's a bit difficult to say, but it's about Mr. Joe. I think he's so rude." Mrs. Rose sighed, not surprised. "I know. It's about Mr. Joe, right? I'll talk to him tomorrow, don't worry." Alex nodded but still felt uneasy. "Well, I'm embarrassed to say it, but Sarah will be here for a few months and then go back to her parents' house. I hope you understand, Sarah." Mrs. Rose smiled gently. "I understand, don't worry, I'll take care of it." She was about to turn back into the house when Alex called out softly, "Mom, I have something to ask." Mrs. Rose turned back, her eyes curious. "What is it?" "Tell me." Alex took a deep breath, his voice low. "Mom is so beautiful, everyone in town knows. Why are you dating Mr. Joe, a good-for-nothing?" Mrs. Rose was stunned, her eyes filled with tears. She sat down, sighed, and said in a low, sad voice, "Alex, I'm telling you the truth. Your father has been dead for many years, and I've been raising Sarah alone. It's been very sad. I'm ashamed to say it, but I have a very high sexual need. When Sarah was little, I didn't want her to be hurt, so I didn't remarry. Many nights I just had to relieve myself alone. These past 2 years, I've become younger, that desire has become stronger. There are many people in this town who are pursuing me, but they all have families. I don't want to destroy anyone's happiness, I don't want their children to suffer. Even though Mr. Joe is bad, he is single, I have to accept him just to satisfy my needs." Rose's tears rolled down, she cried as if she was pouring out all her feelings. Alex held her hand, his heart full of sympathy. She leaned on Alex's shoulder, crying like a child. Alex said softly, "I understand, Mom. It's hard for me too. Sarah got pregnant and gave birth. I endured for months, but as a man, I found it difficult. As a woman, you must have had a much more complicated time." Mrs. Rose wiped her tears, feeling relieved to share. The two of them sat there in the dark, space seemed to freeze. Alex looked at her, his eyes were not just those of a son-in-law. Mrs. Rose's beauty and charm made Alex feel moved. She also felt something in Alex's eyes, a sympathy but also full of desire. That night, after sharing, between them a closeness that was hard to describe. Alex held her hand tighter, his voice warm. "Mom, if you need someone, I'm always here." Mrs. Rose blushed, her heart beating fast. She didn't say anything, just nodded slightly, her eyes sparkling. From then on, the relationship between Alex and Mrs. Rose was no longer simply that of mother-in-law and son-in-law. On nights when Sarah was busy taking care of the children, they secretly sought each other out, sharing passionate moments, filling the void in their hearts. They both knew it was wrong, but their desire and connection made it impossible for them to stop. After the night of confiding, the relationship between Alex and Mrs. Rose became dangerously close. Using the excuse of a new baby at home, Mrs. Rose cleverly refused all appointments, including Mr. Joe. Sarah was busy taking care of the baby, almost always staying in the bedroom, rarely going out. The small house became a private space for Alex and Mrs. Rose, where they could freely let their forbidden feelings arise. Mrs. Rose was often in the kitchen preparing meals or cleaning. Alex, under the pretext of helping, often hung around there. The narrow space of the kitchen became a place where they exchanged meaningful glances. The touches were fleeting but enough to make their hearts beat faster. Whenever Sarah was busy breastfeeding or putting the baby to sleep, Alex and Mrs. Rose would find a way to secretly meet. One afternoon, while Sarah was putting the baby to sleep in his room, Alex quietly went to the kitchen. Mrs. Rose was washing dishes, her thin sweaty shirt highlighting her sexy curves. Alex walked over, pretending to get a glass of water but deliberately standing close behind her. "Mom, let me help you wash," Alex said. His voice was low, his breath blowing on Mrs. Rose's neck. Mrs. Rose trembled slightly but did not turn around, just smiled. "Okay, let me do it. I'm used to this." Alex did not listen, reaching out to touch Mrs. Rose's hand under the stream of water, their fingers intertwined and slowly caressing. Mrs. Rose bit her lip, a burning sensation spreading throughout her body. "Alex, be careful, Sarah will be dead if she sees you," she whispered, but her voice was not dissuasive. Alex leaned down, his lips brushing the shell of her ear. "Sarah is fast asleep with me, don't worry." Alex's hand slid down to her waist, pulling her close. Rose gasped, turning around, her eyes filled with desire. Without another word, she wrapped her arms around Alex's neck, their lips meeting in a passionate kiss that had been suppressed for so long. The small kitchen seemed to heat up with their breath. Alex lifted Mrs. Rose onto the kitchen counter, his hands slipping under her shirt, feeling her smooth skin and her vibrant body. Mrs. Rose moaned softly, her head tilted back so Alex could explore every line of her body. Every touch, every kiss was like a burning fire, making both of them forget all morality, leaving only primitive instincts. Those furtive moments continued throughout the following days, and every time Sarah was busy with the baby, Alex and Rose would find a way to be close, sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes in a hidden corner at the back of the house. They knew this couldn't last forever, but the temptation was too strong. Rose, with her beauty and unfulfilled needs, found in Alex someone to fill the void in her heart. Alex, meanwhile, had been suppressed for too long by the months of his wife's pregnancy and childbirth, unable to resist the charm of his mother-in-law. However, both understood that this relationship was like a fire burning on ice, intense but fragile, and could vanish at any moment if Sarah discovered it. But in those days, they chose to indulge in pleasure, regardless of the consequences that might come. That night, Alex lay alone in his room, feeling restless. Sarah, after putting the baby to sleep, fell into a deep sleep next to the baby. The house was quiet, except for the chirping of insects in the garden. Suddenly, Alex heard a slight noise from behind the house. Thinking it was a burglar, he quickly jumped up, holding a baseball bat in his hand, and tiptoed out. "Who's there?" Alex lowered his voice, peering into the darkness. A small figure emerged from the corner of the garden. "It's me, Alex." Rose's voice was soft but slightly shy. Alex put down his cane and moved closer. "What are you doing out here? Why don't you go to the bathroom?" Rose, wearing a thin nightgown, smiled slightly. "I was afraid I'd wake you." Besides, it's cooler and more comfortable out here. Under the dim moonlight, Mrs. Rose's beauty seemed to shine, her smooth white skin and body curves made Alex unable to take his eyes off. He stepped closer, his voice joking but full of hidden meaning. I want you to wake me up. Before Mrs. Rose could reply, Alex suddenly picked her up, his strong arms tightly embracing her soft body. Mrs. Rose cried out softly but did not resist, her arms wrapped around Alex's neck, their lips met in a passionate kiss full of desire. Alex placed her on the soft grass behind the garden, where the faint moonlight covered, the quiet space seemed to blend with the rapid breathing of both. Mrs. Rose, with the desire that had been suppressed for many years, responded to Alex with passion. Her hands tangled in Alex's hair, pulling him closer. As Alex explored every curve of her body, the thin nightgown was quickly pulled down, revealing her smooth skin and voluptuous body. Rose's soft moans mixed with the night air, further stimulating Alex. They entangled themselves, immersed in a passionate lovemaking where all moral boundaries were left behind. Under the moonlight, the two bodies blended together, each touch, each kiss was like a burning fire. Alex, with his youth and months of restraint, brought Mrs. Rose intense moments that she had never experienced before. And Mrs. Rose, with her experience and charm of a woman in her prime, made Alex unable to stop being captivated. When it was over, they lay on the grass, still breathing heavily. Mrs. Rose rested her head on Alex's chest, her eyes sparkling with worry. Alex, this can't go on forever, she whispered. Alex took her hand, his voice low, I know, Mom, but right now I just want to be with you. That night, they returned to their room with mixed emotions. The temptation between them grew stronger. But they both knew that each moment of furtiveness was a step closer to the risk of being discovered. The next morning, Mrs. Rose got up early, preparing to go into town on business. She thoughtfully asked Mrs. Mary, a close neighbor, to come and help look after Sarah and the baby. Before leaving, she glanced at Alex, her eyes filled with lingering but worried feelings after the night before, then quickly left. I'll probably be busy all day. Alex stayed home to take care of his wife and child. He made milk, changed diapers, sat next to Sarah, chatted, and helped her with small tasks. Sarah, despite being tired after giving birth, still smiled happily when she saw Alex's thoughtfulness. Mary sat in the corner of the room, observing Alex with a strange look. At over 40, Mary was still charming. But her marriage lacked care and warmth. Seeing Alex tenderly taking care of his wife, she not only admired but also felt an indescribable emotion. In her heart, Alex appeared as the ideal man, young, thoughtful, and full of charm. As Alex rocked the baby to sleep, Mary said softly, Sarah is so lucky to have such a young and caring husband. My husband? All he knows is beer and poker, Mary added, her voice bitter. Alex chuckled and replied, you're exaggerating. I just did what I should do. But Mary didn't stop, her eyes glancing at Alex, a hint of curiosity and thoughtfulness. Young Alex, I bet the girls in town are crazy about you, huh? Mary said, her voice full of humor. Alex was a little embarrassed but didn't answer, just focused on the baby. Mary seemed to gain momentum, continuing to talk, her voice becoming more and more intimate. When Sarah fell asleep tiredly next to her baby, Mary walked closer to Alex, pretending to watch the baby but standing closer than necessary. Alex, I'm asking you this, when you stay home and take care of your wife like this, do you ever feel like you lack anything? Mrs. Mary said softly, her eyes sparkling as if probing. Alex looked at Mrs. Mary in surprise, realizing the meaning behind her words. He avoided her, what are you saying? I have a wife and children, I don't lack anything. But Mrs. Mary smiled, placing her hand lightly on Alex's shoulder. I know, but a man like you, so young and healthy, and your wife just gave birth, I'm a woman, I understand. Mary's words were like an invitation, making Alex feel a little confused. He remembered the moments with Mrs. Rose last night, the fire inside him rose again. But this time, Mary stood before him, bold and irresistible, the atmosphere became tense. Mary moved closer, her warm breath fanning Alex. Alex, I didn't say anything wrong. If you need me, I'm here. Mary whispered, her hand lightly touching Alex's chest. Alex took a deep breath, his mind reminded him of Sarah, of Rose, but the temptation from Mary was too strong. In a moment, he took her hand, gently pulling her into the corner of the living room where the light didn't reach. They shared a hasty, hungry kiss. Mary, with her experience and lack of affection for so long, responded to Alex with passion, Alex's hand sliding over her body, feeling the softness and vitality that still remained in this woman. The encounter was quick, furtive but stimulating. In the room, only a few steps away from Sarah and the baby. When it was over, they were both panting, hastily adjusting their clothes, their eyes filled with a mixture of satisfaction and worry. Mrs. Mary whispered, "Alex, this is between you and me." Alex nodded, conflicted. He knew he had gone too far, not only with Mrs. Rose, but now with Mrs. Mary as well. The small house that was once a place of family joy had now become a maze of secrets and temptations. Alex wondered how he would face Sarah and himself when she returned. That night, after a long day, Alex went into his wife's room to visit her. Sarah was lying next to the baby, her eyes tired but still smiling when she saw him. Alex sat down next to the bed and teased his wife, "I've been so hungry lately, I want you to pamper me a little but I can't." Sarah laughed and punched him lightly on the shoulder. "You idiot. What do you want after just giving birth? When I get better, I'll make it up to you double." They both chuckled, the atmosphere as warm as the days when they were still in love. Alex kissed his wife lightly on the forehead and stood up. "I'll go out for a cigarette to sober up." Alex walked out into the yard, not knowing that Mary was still there to help and had overheard the conversation. Mrs. Mary stood in the corner of the kitchen, her eyes sparkling when she heard Alex mention "hungry." After what happened that morning, Mrs. Mary was even more drawn to the charm of Alex, the young, strong man she had longed for. Seeing Alex go out, she quietly followed him, full of thoughtfulness. Under the faint moonlight, Alex stood in the corner of the garden lighting a cigarette, the smoke curling around. Mary stepped forward, her voice soft but seductive. "Alex, isn't it boring to smoke alone?" Alex turned around, a little surprised, but Mary's eyes were bold and inviting, and he understood immediately. "Aren't you going home yet?" Alex asked, his voice low, trying to keep his distance. Mary moved closer, her hand lightly touching Alex's arm. "I was going to go home but I saw you come out here, I heard you talking to Sarah. Men like you endure for so long, must it be hard?" Her voice was sweet as honey in his ears. Alex took a drag of his cigarette, trying to suppress his emotions, but Mary's closeness, her body scent and seductive eyes made him unable to resist. "Don't say that." Alex had not finished his sentence when Mary stood on tiptoe and placed a kiss on his lips. The kiss was like a fuse. Alex threw away his cigarette and pulled Mary into a hidden corner of the garden where the trees covered it. They entwined, Alex's hand sliding over Mary's body, feeling the softness and vitality of the experienced woman. Mary, with the suppressed desire of her cold marriage, responded to him with passion. Her gasps mingled with the night air. They indulged in a brief but stimulating lovemaking, furtive in the quiet garden. When it was over, both hastily adjusted their clothes, their hearts pounding. Mary whispered, her eyes still burning. "Alex, this is our secret. If you need me, I'm here." Alex nodded, but his heart was heavy. He thought of Sarah sleeping in the room, of Rose still not home, and of all the wrong moments he couldn't stop. Alex walked back into the house, still smelling of cigarettes, trying to keep his cool, but knowing he was falling deeper into a spiral of temptation with Mary, with Rose, and secrets that could destroy everything if exposed. The next day, Mrs. Rose returned from her trip to town, bringing with her many delicious things, fresh fish, clean vegetables, and especially a bag of fresh oysters. She looked at Alex with a meaningful look and whispered, "Mom bought these oysters just for you, eat them to feel healthy." Alex smiled, immediately understanding her hidden meaning, his heart fluttering. After visiting her grandchild and hugging and kissing the baby for a while, Mrs. Rose hurried down to the kitchen, saying that she was preparing dinner. Alex was urged to follow silently. As soon as the small kitchen door closed, Mrs. Rose immediately turned around and pulled Alex into a passionate kiss. The kiss seemed to want to release all the longing after a day apart. Alex responded with no less passion, his arms tightly hugging her waist, feeling her soft body and the burning vitality of a woman in her prime. They only stopped when Sarah's soft voice called from the inner room, causing them to quickly separate, panting, their eyes still burning. That night, after Sarah and the baby were fast asleep, Alex went out into the garden, stood under the shade of a tree, pretending to smoke but his heart burning with anticipation. Mrs. Rose, after making sure everything was quiet in the house, quietly walked out. As soon as she saw Alex, she smiled, her voice teasing, "Eating oysters makes you feel full, right?" Alex did not respond with words, just pulled her into his arms, their lips finding each other in a deep, passionate kiss. They fell onto the soft grass, where the faint moonlight covered them. Mrs. Rose with her ageless beauty and desire made Alex fascinated, his hands slid over every curve of her body, pulling down her thin nightgown to reveal her snow-white skin. Rose moaned softly in response, her caresses arousing Alex's senses. Under the moonlight, they entwined, indulging in a quality lovemaking session, more intense than ever before. Every touch, every breath was like a burning fire, filling the void in both of their hearts. When it was over, they lay together, breathing heavily. Rose leaned against Alex's chest and whispered, "Alex, I know this is wrong, but I can't stop." Alex took her hand and said, in a low voice, "Me too, Mom, but I don't regret it." They walked back into the house, filled with mixed emotions. Alex thought of Mary, of the secret moments the day before, and of Sarah sleeping soundly in her room. He knew he was on a dangerous path, where every secret could destroy everything, but the temptation of Mrs. Rose with her beauty and harmony made him unable to turn back. The next morning, Mrs. Mary came to the house to help. As usual, Mrs. Rose woke up early after a passionate night in the bathroom with Alex to prepare breakfast, her eyes still sparkling from the lingering moments of furtiveness. Alex, though trying to keep his composure, couldn't hide his confusion when Mary walked in, smiling knowingly. Mary, in a simple but tight floral dress, looked at Alex with a loving, yet slightly daring gaze. When Alex held the baby, she deliberately stood close, pretending to ask about him, but her hand gently touched his arm, her eyes passing by as if to remind him of what had happened between them. "Alex looks fine today? Did you sleep well last night?" Mary said, her voice joking but full of meaning. Alex smiled awkwardly, "Slept just fine." Rose, with the sharp intuition of an experienced woman, stood in the corner of the kitchen observing Mary's gaze towards Alex. The way she deliberately tried to be close to her did not escape her eyes. Her heart ached slightly, not because of jealousy but because she realized that Alex, the man she had given her passionate moments to, was probably also caught up in another relationship. Rose understood Alex's charm, young, strong and caring enough to make any woman in town flutter, including Mary. While Sarah was still busy with 1,000 things in the room, Rose called Alex into the kitchen, pretending to ask him to get something from above. When they were alone, she looked straight into Alex's eyes, her voice low but sharp, "Alex, Mary looks at you strangely today, is there something between you two?" Alex was startled and wanted to deny it, but Mrs. Rose's eyes seemed to penetrate him, making him bow his head in silence. Mrs. Rose sighed, her hand gently touching Alex's. "I don't blame you. I was also wrong to let things go too far between us. But Mrs. Mary, be careful, if this gets out, not only you, but both me and Sarah will suffer." Alex nodded, his heart heavy, "I know Mom, I will keep my distance from Mrs. Mary." But words were easier said than done. All morning, Mary kept trying to stay close to Alex. Whenever Sarah wasn't paying attention, she would throw him inviting looks. Once when Alex went to the back of the house to get some water, Mary quietly followed him, stood close to him and whispered, "Alex, I'll wait for you in the corner of the garden tonight like last time, don't keep me waiting." Alex took a deep breath, his mind telling him to stop, but his body betrayed him, remembering Mary's passion. Mrs. Rose saw Mary and Alex's silhouettes in the backyard from the kitchen. She said nothing, just silently turned away, her heart filled with conflict. She knew she had no right to keep Alex, but the closeness between them made it impossible for her to be indifferent. The small house, once a place of family joy, now feels like a stage of hidden secrets. Alex, caught between Rose, Mary, and his love for Sarah, feels like every step he takes is leading to a chasm from which he cannot return. That night, after Sarah and the baby have fallen asleep, Alex and Rose sit quietly in the corner of the kitchen that once witnessed their passionate moments. The space was quiet, only the sound of insects chirping in the garden. Both of them felt the heaviness, as if secrets and temptations were weighing down on their shoulders. Mrs. Rose broke the silence, her voice low but firm. "Alex, we need to talk. This is between mother and son, it can't continue anymore." Alex looked at her, his eyes slightly painful but also full of sympathy. He nodded and said softly, "I know, Mom, I thought so too. This was wrong from the start." Mrs. Rose sighed, her eyes filling with tears. "I can't deny that I let myself get carried away by you. A healthy baby makes me feel alive again. But every time I think of Sarah, of the baby, I feel like a sinner. If Sarah knew, she wouldn't be able to bear it." Alex took her hand, his voice low, "Me too. Mom, I love Sarah, I don't want to hurt her. But Mom, you make it impossible for me to stop." They sat there, holding each other as if trying to hold on to the last bit of warmth before letting go. Grandma Rose continued, "I saw the way Mary looked at you today. I don't want you to fall any deeper than you did with me, with anyone else. You have a future ahead of you, Sarah and the baby. Don't let a moment of weakness ruin it all." Alex bowed his head, regretful. He thought of Mary, of her bold invitation, and realized he had gone too far. "I promise, Mom, I'll keep my distance from Mary and from you from now on. We have to stop for Sarah, for the family." Mrs. Rose nodded, wiping away a tear that rolled down her cheek. "I'll end it too. I'll live up to my role as a mother, a grandmother. Take good care of Sarah." Alex squeezed her hand as a final promise, "I will, Mom." They both stood up, their eyes locked for the last time. There was no more longing, only understanding and determination. They walked out of the kitchen, each of them going to their room with mixed feelings. Alex lay down and stared at the ceiling, feeling relieved but also empty. He knew the decision was the right one, but the temptation that had once made him so infatuated still left a void that was hard to fill. From then on, Alex kept his promise, focused on taking care of Sarah and the baby, avoiding all unnecessary contact with Mary. Mrs. Rose also returned to her role as a model mother-in-law, no more furtive glances or touches. The small house gradually regained its family atmosphere, but in Alex and Mrs. Rose's hearts, the memories of those passionate nights were still a buried secret, never to be mentioned again. 2 months passed, Alex and Mrs. Rose kept their promise, not letting any moment of weakness happen again. Alex devoted himself to taking care of Sarah and the baby, becoming a devoted husband and father. Sarah gradually recovered from giving birth, becoming more radiant, no longer suspecting the secrets that had once lurked in the small house. Although Mrs. Mary still visited occasionally, she no longer had the opportunity to approach Alex as he kept his distance, focusing only on his family. Mrs. Rose, with determination, returned to her role as a model mother-in-law. She was still beautiful and still attracted the attention of the townspeople, but she chose to live a private life, away from temptation. Her relationship with Mr. Joe had ended and she found joy in taking care of her grandchildren and doing daily chores as if to atone for her mistakes. When Sarah was about to return to the city, the atmosphere in the house was both warm and a little nostalgic. Sarah held her child and smiled brightly, thanking her mother for taking such good care of them. Alex, when helping Mrs. Rose clean up for the last time, gave her a look that was no longer longing, but only gratitude and understanding. "Mom, thank you for everything. Take care of yourself," he said sincerely. Mrs. Rose smiled and nodded. "You and Sarah take good care of each other, I don't have to worry here." When the car carrying Alex's family disappeared on the town road, Mrs. Rose stood in the yard and watched. The small house returned to silence, but this time it had a real sense of peace. The secrets and the moments of error were buried, giving way to a sense of peace. Rose walked into her house and began her day with the confidence that everything was back on track. Rose's life was now simple, without the undercurrents of longing. She found joy in the little things, tending the garden, chatting with the neighbors, and waiting for her grandchildren to come visit. The house that was once the stage of temptation now only echoes with the laughter of family memories, and Mrs. Rose with a relieved heart knows she made the right choice in letting go.